Good afternoon, everyone. Today we're going to use the line defined by 4x minus 5y plus 10 equals 0, which is written in general form, and we're going to find its slope and its x and y intercepts. Okay? So there are a few different ways to go about this. I'm going to go about it one way, and then maybe we can check our solution a different way. So first off, we have it in general form. We could put it into slope-intercept form. I'll remind you that slope-intercept form is when we have it in the form of y is equal to mx plus b, where m is our slope, right? And b is our y-intercepts, y-coordinate, right? And so if we could move this to this form, then we could read off the slope right away, and we could read off the y-intercept right away, right? So that would be nice. Otherwise, we know that for any y-intercept, we're looking at where on our graph do we have a point where x is equal to 0, right? Because the y-intercept is where we cross the y-axis, which is when x is 0, right? So we can simply let x is equal to 0, and we can plug it into here and solve for y. Likewise, for when we want the x-intercept, but now we're going to be setting y equal to 0. In any case, let's take the time to transform this general form into slope-intercept form, okay? So then we're gonna isolate the y, because that's really what is most characteristic of slope-intercept form, is that the y is isolated, right? It's by itself, and everything else is on the other side. And so let's try to isolate y in general form. So we'll have 4x minus 5y plus 10 is equal to 0, right? We know we want the y to be positive. In the end, we want positive 1y. Here it's negative, so we can go ahead and add 5y to both sides. The reason being, then it'll become positive on the other side, right? So let's go ahead and do that. Adding 5y to both sides cancels out, and so we have 4x plus 10 is equal to 5y. And now we're already almost done, because we want y equals so on and so forth. We have 5y, let's just divide by 5. So if we do that, we're dividing everything by 5, right? And so the 5's cancel out, and so the y is by itself, and the left side becomes 4x over 5. We can write that as 4 over 5x, right? In terms of the slope times our variable x, and plus 10 over 5 is simply 2. And so here is our equation in slope-intercept form, okay? And what this does is that it enables us right away to read off the slope, the coefficient of x, right? And so we get our slope, m, is equal to 4 over 5. And we get our y-intercepts, y-coordinate, right? So we get our y-intercept at I'll say at 0 and 2, right? Because of the plus 2. And now let's check this using the idea that we can simply let x equal 0, plug that in, and solve for y. So if we let x equal to 0, plug that in here, right? Then we'll have 4 times 0 minus 5y plus 10 is equal to 0. And we know we should get y is equal to 2, right? Because that's the y-intercept we found using a different method. So let's go through that. 4 times 0 is 0, and so we have minus 5y plus 10 is equal to 0, and we're back to a pretty simple equation to solve. We're going to subtract 10 from both sides, that what we always have. Negative 5y is equal to negative 10, and finally we divide by negative 5, and we get y is equal to negative divided by negative, means y is equal to positive 2. And so that confirms our y-intercept is indeed at 0 and 2, x0, y2, right? 0, 2 as a coordinate. And lastly, we want the x-coordinate. So anytime we want an x-intercept, lastly we want the x-intercept, right? Where we're crossing the x-axis, and the x-axis is namely where y is equal to 0, right? So conversely, any x-intercept requires letting y equal 0. In math, we say let y equal 0, okay? We're gonna plug that into our equation. We could even plug it in there. in this form, whatever form of the equation you're most comfortable with. I'm gonna plug it in the way that we had it originally. And let's see what happens. So when y is equal to 0, we have 4x minus 5 times 0 plus 10 is equal to 0, right? Just setting y equal to 0 in our equation and using it to solve for x. 5 times 0 is obviously 0, and so all we're left with is 4x plus 10 is equal to 0, and this is simply an equation we have to solve. So minus 10 minus 10, 4x is equal to negative 10, divide by 4, and x is equal to negative 10 over 4, or if you'd rather, negative 5 over 2, or if you'd really rather, a decimal, negative 2.5. Okay, whichever form you'd rather. I like fractions, I'll leave that up to you. And so that means that we have our x-intercept. X-intercept at, our x-coordinate is negative 2.5, our y-coordinate is 0, right on the x-axis, and so our point is at negative 2.5 and 0. And that's the last thing we're asked to find. So I hope this helps. I hope you're starting to make connections between slope-intercept form, general form, x-y-intercept, setting x equals 0, y equals 0 respectively. Hope this helps. Thanks for watching.